Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday evening, which means it's smile time. I hope you've had a wonderful afternoon, well, or morning, or evening, depending on where you are. But here in southern British Columbia, it's a beautiful evening, and I am really delighted to be here. For those of you who are new to the broadcast, we do 3 a week, one at Friday lunchtime with skills. We try to learn something new every week. And today, by the way, if you want to see the replay, we talked about how to deal with stupid people. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but I had a week of stupid people things that I'm going, yeah, we need to do some work on that. So it was really a fun broadcast, and hopefully people enjoyed it and learned something. But by the way, within it, there were 5 points you need to know about what actually stupid people do. And therefore, it helps you know what not to do when you're dealing with stupid people. So it was great fun. So we do one on Friday lunchtime, the skills one. We do this one in Friday evenings, which is our smile one. And for that, we thank Jody, who does great work at getting the quotes. And then Jody, by the way, is our admin. And I'm sorry, I just, like an idiot, managed to put my food into my mouth just before I did the broadcast. I'm going to put more on principle now. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Jody, and hi, everybody else I haven't said hello to. And Yasha, obviously. So, And then we do a third broadcast, which is on a Sunday afternoon, which we call our Soul Sunday broadcast, where we sort of almost meditate. So, I can do this and not choke. Hi, Jeannie, good to see you. So, today we're going to smile a bit, but before we do, Nyasha, congratulations. For those of you who don't know, Nyasha's been around for, I don't know, 6 months, Nyasha, would it be? And, slowly but surely, she is finding her own path. And I'm just so delighted. I'm just so delighted to hear from her that she at last got her parents to agree to let her do some gardening. And, I understand their concern is that you will hurt yourself. Yeah, all right. But you may, right? I break nails all the time. That hurts me no end. It could be a year, really. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sure, we'll have to work that one out. But what I'm hearing, Nasha, and the reason I want to acknowledge it is because you keep taking these steps forward into more self-sufficiency. And I think that is wonderful. So it doesn't matter if you don't grow anything. The important thing is that you get out and try and do it. That is the important thing. Because, the same way as I am, I am saying to people about my garden here this year, my experiment is to see where the sun shines this year, because I'm in a totally new house. I have no idea how the sun shines, how much shadow that tree outside my place gives, So I won't really know what to put where until I've got that worked out. And it probably will take me a year anyway. And it was so funny for those of you who know my sister, bless her heart, she is trying to get me a most beautiful plant. Okay. Yeah, you're going to want to see it now. Where is my phone? Hang on 1 second. Nah. Yeah, I can do this. Hang on 1 second. Totally lost my phone. phone, people? Okay, I'm not looking for it anymore. I could find it on my hang on a second, I'll find it on my tablet. All right, so, oh, Jody probably was going to send it to me. Hold on one second. I will just get this up on my tablet. It is worth seeing. Anyway, my sister wanted to buy me a rose for my housewarming. And I particularly wanted what they call a David Austin rose. And this is the one that I chose. What do you think? Does that make you smile? Oh, very good point. Everybody's suggesting I phone my own phone to find out where it is. I'll do that later. It's not very important. Anyway, so here's the point. The point is that that is the rose. Yeah, but you phoned. Oh, that's a good point. But it only rang on my tablet, which makes me think that I've got the sound turned on my phone. I'll find it, not a problem. Yeah, it is really beautiful, and it's like it said I was busy. Oh, that's not a good thing. It's probably turned on somewhere then. Ah, who was I talking to? Dougie. Hang on a second. Oh, well, I'll find it eventually. Not a problem, but thank you for trying. That's really quite funny. See what happens when I tidy up. I'm sure it's probably right under my nose somewhere. Yeah, I love the fullness as well of that rose. It just strikes me as so beautiful. Anyway, so smile time today. I am just delighted to be able to do. I've had a busy day, and I'm sure you have as well. And so now let's enjoy this. And our thanks to Jody, our admin. By the way, if you're watching this, welcome. If you're watching it on the replay, just feel free to leave comments anyway. We love to have them, and great to see you. So, as some of you know, Dear Mama Sal is all about this extended family of people where we get together 3 times a week to continue to our growth more than anything. I think, that would be, I've always said that Dear Mama Sal is a group of people that care about one another. And we continue to grow emotionally and keep learning about ourselves. And so if you're interested in self-growth of any sort, then please feel free to join us and just click on the subscription button. And also remember to click on the bell there. And it's going to ask you, do you want all the notifications? And you just say yes. So that's good. Do I have Find My Device from Google? Set it up on your iPad. I don't have an iPad. I do have it paired, and I do have the app. Yeah, I do have it. So thank you, Nasha. I'll just, as I said, I'll just do it after the broadcast. Obviously, it's just something that's going to take me a bit of time. I'm just hoping it's not outside, but thank you for thinking of that. By the way, Nyasha, your helpful thing about the on-screen keyboard, I cannot tell you how many times I thank you for teaching me how to do that. It is wonderful. And, you know, it's just like, it is so useful when I am broadcasting or when I'm doing something. Yep. So I do have it, and I will find the phone, no problem. If you have a topic that you'd like me to speak to, please make sure you write to me at dearmamasal@gmail.com, and I will do what I can. If I feel it's a topic that the viewers will enjoy or need, then I will add it to my list. So feel free to do that. So birthdays, as far as I know, we don't have any birthdays coming up or celebrations. So if you know of any, please make sure you let us know so we can add them on. Yeah, so here's the first quote of the day, and this one comes from Winston Churchill. A lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to put its pants on. Isn't that the truth? You know, and it's like, be aware of that, all right? None of us want to go around telling lies, but know that for some reason lies seem to get circulated far faster than the truth. I really just do want to give you all a heads up. I don't think we have a scam of the week this week, do we, Jody? But you know what I am really warning people about is anything that comes to you online and you wonder whether it's true or not, make sure you go to that website. I'm going to type it here for the people who are watching right now. That website called Snopes, SNOPES. And it will let you know whether what you're reading is the truth or not. But what I like about it is it also tells you the degree of truth. In other words, it will tell you there is some truth to this. It came off another story that was this, and this. And I think that's a great way. You know, we've got so many scams going on at the moment with the everybody being in lockdown. It's really important that you double check your information. Nia's just telling me, no problem. Sure, I had a feeling it would be useful to me. This is the on-screen keyboard. She uses it a lot because of her vision. I think you know, I want to tell you something. It's been a game changer for me. I'm amazed how many times I use it, but particularly when I've got my computer up high, which is, you know, I put it up higher to do the broadcasts. And so when I do that, it makes it so much easier, Nyasha. I thank you all the time. I don't know if you hear me, but I do. Common sense and a sense of humor are the same thing, moving at different speeds. A sense of humor is just common sense dancing. Isn't that nice? I like that. By the way, between the two broadcasts, I was talking on the first broadcast that I was going to get on my Total Gym, that I have put at a very different angle so that I can start doing squats. And one of the things I thought I would challenge you to do, if you want to know how good your posture is, how well are you standing straight, you can do it now while I'm talking, or you can do it later. All right, where you can see that wall. Okay, go to a wall and stand against it. Okay. I'm just trying to think how I can do it so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put my heels against it, my butt against it, and my shoulder blades, and then my head. And, you know, you will be amazed that that is what straight looks like. Now, quite honestly, when we're walking, you know, just put your feet out about 6 inches. But then make sure that your butt, your shoulder blades, and the back of your head are all touching the wall. And I want to tell you something. That is a good exercise to do. Could you guys hear me from over there? But it's a good exercise to do when you walk through the house. When you when you get to a door frame, stand against it, butt, shoulder blades, back of the head. And it will help you stretch these muscles out that need to be stretched. Does that make sense? Yeah. Nyasha, did you get on your elliptical this week? Because I know that is, you've got the opportunity to do that. All right. So did you try it, Isabel? Did anybody try it? You'll be surprised. What I was surprised when I was doing the squats on the Total Gym, it was at quite an angle like this. And what I was doing was sliding the board down, but letting my hands, oops, that was not a good idea. But let my hands go right up. I was amazed. I probably will be very sore in these stomach muscles tomorrow. But that's what I want, right? I know I need to stretch these stomach muscles so that I'm not hunched up. And I know I need to get my core strength going. So I thought I'd just mention that that's what I did. And I think I did about 20 squats. Yeah, I really encourage you to do it. Then, of course, try sliding down the wall, see what happens. I love this one, Jody. Jody found this one. It says, the road to success is dotted with many tempting parking spaces. Isn't that the truth? I found that a number of times during the week where I'm literally going, what is it I'm trying to focus on? I seem to get sidetracked so quickly. But as I was saying at lunchtime, my accomplishment is I did get my dining room table totally cleared and cleaned. And that to me was a major step forward for this week. Anybody else get an achievement of the week? Jody is doing great guns with her. She's making masks and they're doing really well. And anybody else have an achievement that made them smile this week? The other thing was I did put red onion in my toaster oven on the lowest heat overnight, and it did a great job. And the only thing I found out by accident is they're really tasty. I didn't put anything on them, but when you dry onions like that, red onion, it's really tasty. So I'm going to be putting those on my salads. Well, they probably won't get that far. Well, if you think about it, Nyasha, if you're not walking properly, if you're sort of walking hunched up a bit, more like this, what it's doing is making you stand up, which makes you stretch your core. Yes, Jody managed to reduce her soda intake, and she's gone back to fasting. Well done. How did I dry the onions? Okay, Nyasha, it was so simple. I took the outside layer of skin off, the first two layers, and then I sliced them, put them on a baking sheet on the lowest temperature on my toaster oven, and I left them overnight. So about 12 hours in the toaster oven. So simple. You could do it in the sun. I keep forgetting that Nyasha's in Trinidad and Tobago. You could just leave them out in the sun, and that would do it. Just turn them over every few hours, if you can. So, Prince Philip said this, I don't think we've ever had a quote from Prince Philip. When a man opens a car door for his wife, it's either a new car or a new wife. Isabel is saying that she can't stop eating. Do any of you relate to that? Why, Isabel? If you think about it, you can't stop eating because you've lost control. Would that be the reason? The same as I was saying to Jody, you know, because she was busy drinking for 0 Cokes a day. And I said, oh, so you lost control. Because really, that's what it is. You know, it's, oh, Nyasha, these taste just like fried onions. I've got to tell you, and yet I didn't put anything in them at all. I just cut them up, but these are red onions, okay? But I want to tell you, they just taste like I fried them. Hi, Farmer, good to see you. So Isabel's saying, I won't blame it on COVID. I was like this before. Yes, exactly. So you just lost a bit of control. Don't beat up on yourself. Just start again. And Jody did. And look at what Jody's doing a great job. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, I dream of a better tomorrow where the chickens can cross the road and not be questioned about their motives. All right, so all right, I just want to know if you guys can see me and hear me again. There was, we lost the connection. Nyasha, I didn't fry them in oil or anything. I just literally let the oven dry them. But they taste like they have been deep fried. All right, so you need to understand, I literally just sliced them up and I put them, you know, I took the outside layer off, but after that I sliced them up and I just put them in a baking pan and left them to cook quietly for 12 hours on a very low setting. And this, you know, but you could leave them out in the sun and it would do the same thing. Does that make sense, Nyasha? And the same as I did the mushroom. You remember I did the mushrooms as well, the same way. So it works. Norman Wisdom, who is a British comic, said, as you get older, 3 things happen. The first, your memory goes. And I can't remember the other 2. I love it. Jody, that's funny you should say that. Jody is saying, it's interesting, Sal, because some gourmet shops sell those kind of dried onions and they aren't inexpensive. That is exactly what I was thinking. Okay. I have these that I put on top of my salad. These are French's. But they are sort of, they look like they've sort of a combination between, they've definitely got a coating on them, like batter of some sort. But really tasty. Do try this. This is definitely worth doing. Norm Crosby said, when you go into court, you are putting your fate into the hands of 12 people who weren't smart enough to get out of jury duty. Now, that was a big argument on the O.J. Simpson trial, if you remember. they were saying that was the reason why he got off. But anyway, we will see. Navjot Singh Sidhu said, "It's always darkest before the dawn. So if you're going to steal your neighbor's newspaper, that's the time to do it." Don't thieve. Now, listen to this one and think about the logic of it because it's clever. Miles Kington said, "Knowledge is knowing that the tomato is a fruit." And I'm pretty sure we all know that. Wisdom is not putting it into a fruit salad. Yep, it's always confusing, right? How's come the tomato is a fruit, not a vegetable? I have no idea. Mike Myers said that his theory is that all Scottish cuisine is based on a dare. In other words, he reckons, everything that the Scots make, somebody said, "I wonder what would happen if I bet you wouldn't dare put this together with this and then cook it." And, I'm thinking about things like haggis and, some other things where I'm going, not for me. Lily Tomlin said, "I always wanted to be somebody, but now I realize maybe I should have been a bit more specific." I've always said when I used to do a lot of speaking, especially to management people, I've always said to them, I'd like you to look at your sales team and get a whole new perspective. And if you really want to do something of great interest, spend the year finding out what each of your salespeople would have done if they could have done, but they couldn't do it, so they ended up in sales. Because it is my experience that anybody in sales did not plan to be there. All right, that's where they ended up. And, it's amazing if you talk to people. Well, this is true of all people, but particularly of salespeople. When you talk to them and you say, "What was it that you wanted to do when you left school?" And I've heard some incredible stories from people, but, for some reason or another, they failed at doing that. So they ended up in sales. And so I said to management, it would be worth your while to find out, because it will tell you something about their psychology that you need to know if you want to have a successful sales team. All right, so this is from John Barrymore. He said, "Why is there so much month left after the end of money?" Now, that is a little bit unfortunate for a lot of people at the moment because, hi, Jonas, good to see you, because, we are dealing with less money and more time. And one of the conversations I was having at lunchtime today is about, please be careful, regardless of whether you live in a country, a county, or whatever, that decides to release the social distancing or let people go back to work in some way, please be doubly careful. It's going to be twice the risk, so be doubly careful. What they do, we cannot control. What we do, we can. So please, please be careful. Jerry Seinfeld said, it's a very famous quote of his, by the way, "It's amazing that the amount of news that happens in the world every day always just fits so exactly into the newspaper." And having worked in newspapers, you have no idea how difficult that is to get that all. It's like one giant jigsaw puzzle. Okay, Jody is giving us some factoid here. The tomato is a fruit because it seeds. It has seeds. But there is some debate as to whether or not it's actually a fruit and a vegetable. Yeah, the don't inject yourself with Lysol thing was part of my discussion today. That and the mayor of Vegas that upset me quite a bit this week. Um, so, you know, this is like, there are going to be some stupid things happening. So please, please, please be very careful. I must admit, I put a tweet out to or text out to Angela in Vegas immediately because I just was so scared for her. Harlan Ellison said, the two most common elements in the universe are hydrogen and stupidity. That was our subject today, stupidity. Fred Allen, a comedian from my mother's era, said, for the first time I sang in church. I'll try that again. The first time I sang in the church choir, over 200 people changed their religion. Yeah. Cute. So did any of you have anything funny happen to you this week? Doug phoned me to let me know he's coming to visit me tomorrow. And I said, well, we'll sit far apart outside, but, stay and have tea with me. I'll make him tea. But what I did was I managed to find this remote, this helicopter that I have. And I thought it would be a really fun thing for Doug to do with his girlfriend's son, because it's something that'll get them out in the fresh air and it'll be fun to do together. So I've been busy trying to find all the bits to the helicopter. I find the box, but then I couldn't find the helicopter. Then I found the helicopter, but I couldn't find the box. You know what I mean? Some of you know this story. And so, but I've now managed to find the box and the helicopter. and so what I said was, come and get it before I lose it all again. So he's coming over tomorrow. That'll be good. Anything funny, let us know. Right? If you had anything funny happen to you this week. I would ask you to concentrate on the fun things. I was telling the story today is that my neighbor next door here, I happened to see her and I was out charging the battery in my car. So as I drove back, I saw her and I wound down the window and I said, do we own a weed whacker? And she doesn't know my sense of humor. And she said, do you mean, do I own one? And I said, well, yep, because I left mine at the other house. And she said, well, why? Because you've left there. And I said, I know, I didn't think I'd need it. So I left it for the people who bought my home. So I just wondered whether we own one. And it turns out it is a possibility that the one that used to be in this house or belonged to the house, they gave it to her. And so she said, I might have two, in which case I'll give you back one. I thought that was nice, but it was funny. David Lee Roth said, I used to jog, but the ice cubes kept falling out of the glass. Yeah, it is nice that Dougie is coming. Jody, one of the things that I was playing with between the two broadcasts was I was trying to fold one of those masks. that you make with just using 2 rubber bands. Has anybody tried that yet? And unfortunately, what I really need is some of my good quality serviettes, table napkins. Yeah, it actually works. I was doing it. Hang on. I was doing it, but it's not quite big enough. But this is basically the way that it works is you take a piece of material. It needs to be bigger than this. This is about 12 inches. Yeah. So you need it a little bit bigger than this. And you fold it into the half and into the half. Oh, that's not very half, is it? Hang on. Okay, so you've now got it folded into the center, right? Everybody got that? Then you do the same again. Fold it over into the half, fold it over into the half. Yeah. So now you've got it like this. Am I making sense? Then you fold over the ends, flat side towards you. So now you've got that on the outside. Okay. And then you've got, it looks like this on the inside. And then you put your elastic band, this one, just here. You see that? And then you got yourself, well, it didn't help that this is paper. And this is a little small, but you get the idea. It works. So anyway, I thought I'd show you, it actually does work. I've just, just work out how big the okay, hold on 1 second. Jeannie is giving us a story. My husband heard this story. L.L. Bean shared his original store with the funeral parlor. And by the way, I'm a great supporter of L.L. Bean, so this is lovely. Anyway, so he had a shooting gallery in the basement. When people heard him shooting, they would ask, "What's that noise?" And he would reply, "Oh, don't worry, that's the funeral director just making sure the person is dead." Hang on 1 second. Just need to see this. Oh, isn't that nice? Sorry, I just, for those of you who were listening at lunchtime about the weed whacker story where I needed the weed whacker, one of the weed whackers from my previous home, apparently Yvonne saw the new owners of my house and he said, absolutely, no problem at all. She can have one of our weed whackers back. All right, so a study in the Washington Post says that women have better verbal skills than men. We've had this one before, but it always bears repeating. I just wanted to say to the authors of that study, duh. That was from Conan O'Brien. And from Jay Leno, this is very relevant as well. Here is something to think about. How come you never see a headline like psychic wins lottery? Have you ever thought about that? Do any of you know what the English Grand National is? It's a big horse race in England, and it's over hurdles. It has things they have to jump along the way. Very dangerous race. Anyway, I can remember at one point in my life I was pretty clairvoyant, I think I'd have to say. And I remember my mum saying to me, "Well, if you're that clairvoyant, why don't you tell me who's going to win the Grand National?" And I said, "Okay." And I thought about it for a while. And I said, "Well, I don't know the name of the horse, but the number 9 is coming up." And she said, "Would that be the horse that's wearing number 9? Or in position number 9?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe put money on both." And if you're going to play the game, then put money on both. And we did. And guess what? They both came in. The horse number 9 won it, and the horse that came in second was in the 9th slot along. It was amazing. You're saying keep betting, Sal, yeah. I don't believe in that. Buddy Hackett said, "As a child, my family's menu consisted of 2 choices. Take it or leave it." How many of you grew up in that household? And I don't know about your household, but in my household, if you put it on your plate, you had to eat it. So if you thought it looked good and you put a lot on your plate and you found out, "Yuck, I don't like that," if you put it on your plate, you had to eat it. Did any of you have any memories of that? Because if so, let's hear about them, because they're normally funny ones. Ashley Brilliant said, "My opinions might have changed, but the fact that I am right hasn't." Dear Abby, known as Anne Landers, she said, "At every party, there are 2 kinds of people. Those you want to go home with and those who you don't. And as we know, the trouble is they're usually married to one another." Jeannie's saying that they grew up in a house like that. And she said, "But my mom was a good cook, so we didn't ever complain." Okay, that's great. Aren't you lucky? Did any of you grow up in a household where you didn't like food? Maybe you didn't like spinach. I was never into spinach for some reason. I know that Popeye the Sailor Man tried to convince me that it was good for my muscles, but I just never really made it into spinach for some reason. Oh, I didn't know that. Dear Abby was Ann Lander's sister. I didn't know that. Thank you, Jeannie. All right. So Jody is saying she remembers that the 3-bean salad looked so colorful and delicious at a picnic. Yeah, that was a big no. Oh, you're quite right, Jeannie. You are right, of course. Yeah. There was both Dear Abby and Ann Landers, right? They both sisters did it. People say that nothing is impossible, but I do nothing every day. That comes from Winnie the Pooh, doesn't it? All right, another very well-known quote that is worth remembering: before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. After that, who cares? He's a mile away and you've got shoes. Oh, you think they were twins? That's interesting. Think that the Anne Landers and Dear Abby were Abigail Landers were twins. Hmm. And how about this one? Somebody said, I'm sick of following my dreams. I'm just going to ask where they're going and meet up with them later. And, if you've got a moment, what dream did you have as a child that you did not achieve as yet? I mean, which of your dreams, if any, have you not achieved? I'm trying to think. Wow, oh my gosh. I'm just thinking that I remember having a dream during a meditation, not something came to me during a meditation that I would end up in a house where you had to go upstairs to get to it. And there were big trees around it. Hi, Lauren. And I just realized you have to go upstairs to get into my house, and I have big trees. Wow, it's amazing. Anyway, but what I remember was that in this dream that I had, the people I had helped in my lifetime had all come to thank me. And it was like a visualization. And I remember the person leading the visualization was asking everybody what they had seen during this visualization. And I was a bit embarrassed to talk about mine. And I said, well, this is what I saw. And the person leading it said, how many people do you think were there to thank you? And I said, thousands. But it was embarrassing because and I think about it now and I think, wow, isn't that interesting? Because you and I both know that in my lifetime, I have helped thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, between being on stage and doing what I do now. So, it's interesting how these things, at the time, you don't think you've achieved it, but when you look at it, maybe you have. Hi, Lauren, and hi, Sharon. Good to see you. All right, so Jeannie's saying, every Friday, my mother cooked chicken. She would put chicken liver in the oven to bake, and then she'd give us a piece of liver to eat before dinner. Yes, I grew up eating chicken livers and steak and kidney pie. And, it's funny how we don't eat those meals anymore. Did any of you grow up with steak and kidney pie or eating chicken livers? Huh, interesting, isn't it? Okay, so Mitch Hedberg said, my fake plants died because I didn't pretend to water them. That's cute. I think that's really cute. And we're not sure who, but somebody said, I read recipes the same way that I read science fiction. I get to the end and I think, well, that's not going to happen. Mm. By the way, hang on one second. I was talking at lunchtime. Hang on a second, because this has to make sense. I bought this cloche to cook bread in. Okay, it's like this. And it really cooks the greatest bread. I was really amazed. But what I also found out was you can use it to cook anything. You can steam vegetables in it. You can, I made an omelet in it just to see what happened. So it was just like, it is pretty versatile. And I don't know why I never thought to use it to steam something, but I will be doing that now. So anything that you don't want to dry out. And I did the omelet in the microwave, which is like, yeah, that works. But really like the bread. So one of those gizmos that really works. I love the ones that work. Yeah, do you know something, Jeannie? I've spent a lifetime, wanting to be able to make bread, and I'm definitely getting to the stage of my life where it's working for me now. But this is so easy to use. I've just thrown some stuff in here because I want to give Doug a loaf of bread tomorrow. So I've just put everything in here and it's just doing its thing. And then after the broadcast, I'm going to add some more flour to it and roll it out. And then I'll leave it in the fridge overnight. And it'll be beautiful by tomorrow. And I'll bake it and he can take it home with him. So, very simple. I want to tell you, rolling bread is a lot easier than kneading it for somebody who's got arthritis. You've never seen anything like that. No, neither had I, but it works really well. And, in case anybody's interested, I'll put a link on this broadcast as well. I put a link to it on the other broadcast, but I found the cheaper model of this is about, I think, under $10. And so I've got the link for you guys if anybody's interested in doing that. But I was thinking how many things, I'm pretty certain that you could cook macaroni in there, for example, if you wanted to. I'll be doing some experiments and let you know. So how about this quote? I don't need a hairstylist. My pillow gives me a new hairstyle every morning. One of the things I love about being retired is, and especially here, I wake up in the morning with my hair sort of, doing whatever. And I go out and feed the worms. I go out and talk to my worm farm every day, and I don't care anymore. It's just like I sometimes think, I didn't even brush my hair, and I went out there and did all that work in the garden, and I'm thinking it's what everybody else does. All right, so Jeannie's saying the only way I make bread is with a bread maker. Otherwise, I get antsy, and I don't enjoy making bread. Wow. It's funny, isn't it? I had a bread maker and I gave it away because I'm the opposite. To me, the fun about making bread is actually in the doing, and when it works, of course, it's so exciting. And this one that I showed you is a honey oat one that I did. So I rolled the dough absolutely flat. Once I got the dough properly worked, I rolled it flat and I covered it with oats and poured honey on it, rolled it all up, Just rolled it out one more time, did the same thing. Oh, so good. Nice one, Jody. You knew I was going to like this one. If I'm not back in 5 minutes, wait longer. Nice one. I'm pretty sure, Jody, when you find these, you know the ones that are going to crack me up big time. And how about this one, everybody? When everything is coming your way, you're in the wrong lane. Never had days like that. I was, we were talking today about stupid people. And one of the things that I said to everybody, because I thought it was important, is to make sure that we all check that we're not being the stupid person. And so it was important for me to give everybody some pointers as to how to make sure you're not the stupid person. Because I understand that stupidity is a judgment in terms of, people doing stupid things. So therefore, be very careful that you are not just as stupid as the person that you are reacting to. Garfield said, when I was in school, the teachers told me that practice makes perfect. And then they told me nobody's perfect. So I stopped practicing. Anybody got any of those truisms that you were taught at school that you later thought, I can't believe that they taught me that. It was so wrong. For me, it was turn the other cheek. That one. It took me a long time to realize that I really didn't have to do that. I really didn't have to be nice to people who, were nasty to me. I can't believe how long that took me. One of probably the best known quotes from Steve Martin was, a day without sunshine is like, night. Sometimes the simplest things are the funniest, right? Wow, Sharon's saying, I turn the cheek once, but after that I bite back. Yeah. I want to tell you, Sharon, it took me the longest time to realize that, it didn't mean that if somebody abused you, it was okay, they could do it again. And again, and again. So that bite back thing took me a long time to learn. Yeah. And, at least now I can say, pity you didn't meet me when I was in my 20s. I wouldn't have reacted the way I'm about to react. And how many of you relate to this one? Nice one, Jody. This one, what I'm looking for is a blessing that is not in disguise. Yeah, right. Wow, I'm going to lose my voice if I'm not careful. So W.C. Fields said, I cook with wine. And sometimes I even add it to the food. So anybody relate to that one? How many of you love to have a glass of wine while you cook? And Sharon's going, my kind of person. There you go. Right. This next quote describes me often. Nothing sucks more than that moment during an argument when you realize you are wrong. Ever been there? It's like, yeah, well, hang on, wait a minute. And they're going, what? I go, wait a minute. I've just realized I'm wrong. And they want to carry on arguing, going, no, really. You're right. And it's amazing. Getting them to stop arguing is almost impossible. They sort of want to keep going, and I'm going, no. I just told you. You're right. We don't need to argue anymore. And by the way, it was one of the things that I was talking about. When you're dealing with stupid people, if you want to stop somebody who's being stupid, just tell them they're right, and you'll be amazed how quickly they shut up. Reno Goodell said, the good thing about being a circus clown is they probably never have to worry about how good their hair looks. Wow, you Googled something to prove Jerry wrong. And then he was right, Sharon? That really is wonderful. That you can own that. To my mind, that is a great sense of humor. Actually, oh, you were right. That's not nearly as much fun. His face was priceless because you bothered to check it out. Yeah, it's amazing to me. The technology we have today is so quick, for things like that. I don't know about you, but I think of all the technology, I would miss Google. It was like, I think Google was almost as important as the computer. Paula Poundstone said, adults are always asking little kids what they want to be when they grow up because they're looking for ideas. So, yeah, Nyasha's saying that's why technology is her go-to. Yeah, it's really, yeah, we are so fortunate. Can you imagine being on lockdown without Google, without Netflix, without Prime, without whatever? I've got a new addiction now, and that's Acorn TV. So it's just like this lockdown has not been so far has not been too tragic for me at all, and I'm aware that I am very fortunate in that. Yes, Sandy's going. It's so true, and she still doesn't know what she wants to be when she grows up. Right. Oh, sorry to hear you had problems, Isabel, and welcome back again. Yes, and Jeannie, I did notice that. And Jeannie's just asking whether I saw that Jody had looked up about Anne and Abby Landers, and they were twins. Yeah. So it's nice when you're right. This one is very apropos of what happened this week. And it says, the human brain is a wonderful thing. It starts working the moment you're born and never stops until you stand up to speak in public. I think we had a good example of that this week. All right, so Sharon said, I asked kids, so which one can take care of me in my old age? Yeah, that's a good one to ask. And how many kids don't want to look after anybody in their old age? I think one of the things that touched me about buying this house was the lady who lived here, she died of cancer. And one of her sons came to live with her during that time that she was sick. And I always thought that was, that told me there was a lot of love in the house. And, that's very special. Not her daughter, but her son came to help her. Yeah. This is very true. We're not sure who said it, but tell a man that there are 300 billion stars in the universe, and he'll believe you. Tell him a bench has wet paint, and he'll have to touch it to make sure. Isn't that true? How about the other one like that is, how many of you know that if you stand by an elevator and somebody else comes, they presume you have not bothered to touch the button to call for an elevator. So they have to come and press the button. And then you go, I already did that. And they go, oh, okay. It's like, did they really think you were just standing there looking at the buttons? That they needed to come and press one. It always amazes me when that happens. And the other thing is, because I got a wicked sense of humor, sometimes when I get into an elevator, I don't get into the elevator and then turn around, right, and look at the door. What I do is I get into the elevator and I stand there. And then I go, I bet you wondered why I called this meeting. Do you want to see how people react to that? It's just like, oh, we got a weirdo in here. But I've done it a number of times. I literally just walk in and I stand and let the doors close behind me. And when the doors close, I go, now, I bet you wonder why I called this meeting. Have any of you been stuck in an elevator? There's another time when people do the most insane things. I was stuck in an elevator once. And it was it was one of those elevators that only it was in a very high rise, and it only started from floor 19 up. And somewhere between, I got in at floor 24 or something, and somewhere on the way down, it got stuck. And there were 3 of us in the elevator at the time. And it was amazing how people reacted. And, they keep pressing buttons. And I'm going, yeah, I don't think it's working, really. I think the button we need to be pressing is the one that's red, or the one that says help. I can't remember what it said. And me, I'm just standing there going, this thing came to a screeching halt. That is not normal behavior. And so eventually I did the thing and the phone rang. And so when, because they have a phone in elevators. And so the phone rang and I picked it up and the guy said, hi, this is the fire department. Any idea what floor you're on? And I said, yeah, somewhere between 24 and the 0. And he said, how far down did you come? And I said, very good question. I failed, a lot of math. So I said, I have no idea what the rate of descent was versus how many floors per minute, and the bottom is coming up towards you at this. I never did that calculation well at school. I don't know about any of you, train A and this is train B and they're both going at different speed. Now, I was never good at that one. So I said, all I can tell you is we are somewhere, but we're not on floor 24 because we left there and we haven't hit the bottom yet. So we're not there either. We're somewhere in between. And the guy, it was quite funny because the guy said to me, he said, to have a sense of humor when you are in that situation is very unusual. And luckily nobody else could hear, what he was saying to me. And I said, the alternative is not worth talking about. It's just like, if I don't keep my sense of humor, but it was interesting that he said that to me. So he said, I'm glad you're in that elevator because you're going to help people, obviously. I said, yeah, I'll do my best. And it was interesting because we were there for quite some time. I'm, a couple of hours. And by the way, there's only one thing worse than an elevator coming to a screeching halt is when it suddenly starts to move again. Because, when it comes to a screeching halt, you know that the brakes held. When it starts to move again, you wonder, did they do that or did it just fail? And we're now on the fast descent to nowhere. Anyway, so when we did get to the bottom, the fire guy that had spoken to me was there and he said, I'd like to shake your hand. And I said, thank you. And he said, no. He said, seriously, there are not many people that don't panic when that happens. This one, I think we've had once before. But again, worth repeating. I don't mean to brag, but I just finished my 14-day diet in 3 hours and 12 minutes. Nyasha is making an interesting point. She said, it's often lovely to have a cheery person when you're in an intense situation. I want to tell you, there are some people who that will annoy more than help. And I'm aware of that. Sometimes if you are cheery in a stressful situation, some people will find that offensive. But it's just who I am. And I am a leader by nature. So, I will use humor whenever I can. Yeah. I actually had them singing. I guess that's maybe why the guy thanked me when I got to the bottom, because I realized one thing that is very difficult to do. You remember what we said? It's almost impossible to be anxious and count at the same time. So if ever you have an anxiety attack, start counting. There are 5 chairs in this room, or 6, there are 32 cupboard doors. There are, count things, right? Because it is impossible for your mind to stay anxious and be counting. Now, when you know that to be true, you know what to do when you have an anxiety attack. And so what I did, because I realized everybody was anxious in the elevator, was I actually started getting them to sing. And, we actually sang carols because everybody seems to know the carols, the Christmas carols. Okay, goodbye, Jeannie, and have a good sleep. Lovely to see you. Thank you. But that was amazing to me that, of all the songs that people know Christmas carols. And so that's what we did. I said, hey, this has got nothing to do about your faith. This has to do with, let's do something constructive. And what's your favorite carol? And I remember somebody looking at me and saying, what? And I said, well, pretend it's Christmas. What's your favorite carol? And they, say, yeah, whatever, Away in a Manger or something. And I go, okay, fine, let's go for that one. And, I literally went through a whole series of carols before the thing started to move. Niasha's saying, why would people find that offensive? I mean, if I'm scared, why would I not? Why would I want to remain in that frame of mind? I would be glad for somebody that's trying to do their best to take me out of it. It's just some people are strange. Isabel saying, your kind of person I would love to be stuck in an elevator with. Thank you, Isabel. I must admit that the people in the elevator did thank me. And that surprised me as well. And I just, but what I said to them was, I quite honestly, the alternative was that I would totally panic. And therefore, what I did was very selfish, I didn't want to panic because, then I'd wee, I need to pee desperately. Do any of you relate to that? The first thing, what do you mean it's stuck? I'm going to need a washroom. I think I actually said that at one point. Jackie Mason, very good comic, said, I've got enough money to last for the rest of my life, as long as I don't buy something. As that would be true of all of us, right? Well, it's all about, one of the things I love about personalities, Nyasha, is that you do need different things with different personalities. Okay, so let me try and describe that for you. All right. We've talked about this before, but they're basically 4 personality groups, all right? And, one is the amiable person. They're the sort of people that talk to their plants and everything else. And then you've got the, hang on, we got the analytical. And then you've got the independent. I call this one the major Canadian variety. But this one is the dramatic one. And so you've got these 4 basic types of people in these people are normally pretty dramatic, but they're made up. I could go into it for hours, but the thing is, you've got different sorts of people for different tasks. Imagine if you you were in sales, for example, and the graph of sales were doing that. All right. Now, if you ended up with one of those drama people, they just go, it looks fine to me, because they'd make it funny. All right. If you had an analytical person, an analytical will, be talking about the rate of decline is, I thought we had an interesting situation today, for example, where those of you who were in the broadcast, who was it? Oh, Jeannie was talking about being in Maine, and she was saying they'd only had 400 deaths out of 4,000 something or other. And I went, wait a minute. 40,000. And I'm going, wait a minute, do the math on that. It's not as good as you think it is. But what I want to say is that if you went in and you needed to have brain surgery done, you probably wouldn't want to have me being funny about it. All right? You'd probably want somebody who was very clear. You need to have a brain op, see me in the operating theater at 2:30 tomorrow. Because I'm the best there is. You don't want somebody that's really chatty about it, right? And that's what I keep saying to people, that we need all these different personalities in the world because we have different jobs to do. And it's very important. And that's why, to me, I love having those different personalities around me because they always help me look good. And then when I always say that the number one person I want to back me up is an analytical. Why? Because an analytical will remember the things I forgot. They'll follow up. If I say I need to do X, Y, and Z, an analytical will follow up and say, did you do it? And I go, oh, rats, no, I didn't. So to me, I am smart enough to know what people, whenever I had led a group of people, I'd make sure that I'd got those different personalities, one of each of those personalities with me, because they each bring different things to the table. It's not all about brains, believe you me. You need people who think outside the box. I'd want, I always remember running a leadership thing one time. And on this course, there was one guy who was pretty heavily built. And he definitely didn't have a very high educational level. And people didn't really like him. And then I designed this whole leadership weekend, and the one component I had in there was an outdoor component. And, I made the participants build something out of nothing. And guess what? I will always remember the fact that when we went outside with this one particular group, that guy that nobody liked very much because they thought he was stupid, he was literally running with wheelbarrows full of rocks. And at the end of that exercise, he became the star of the group. And I just sat back and smiled and went, yeah, the trick in leadership is to make sure that everybody can see they have value. I think that's what leadership is. That by the time you've finished, everybody realizes they had value. They had input. They had reason to be there. Yeah, that's true, Ashley, right? You want that is the whole thing. Some people need people to be funny, but you also need somebody who can cut right down the middle. Yeah. So to me, it was like, I actually at one point did have to say to everybody, stop panicking. When that thing started to move, people screamed, and I said, please stop panicking. And they went, what? And I said, please stop panicking. It's not going to help. And being me, I said, if this is the last thing you do in your life, do you want to do it screaming or do you want to do it singing? So let's sing one more carol. And we did. And, it's about distracting people away from what's so scary. Very important. Phyllis Diller, very well-known comic, said, when I go to a beauty parlor, I always use the emergency entrance. Sometimes I just go for an estimate. Because it'd be too expensive. Right? And this one, a lot of you will relate to. And if Lauren is still there, this is like uni stuff, Lauren. I like work. It fascinates me. I can sit and look at it for hours. How many of you relate to that? If I keep looking at it long enough, maybe it'll do itself. I won't have to worry about it anymore. Zsa Gabor said, I'm a marvelous housekeeper. Every time I leave a man, I get to keep his house. And she did. I can't remember how many times she was married. I think she was a bit like Elizabeth Taylor. I think she had 5 or 7 husbands. Nice one, Jody. Jody has this quote, and it says, a jealous woman does better research than the FBI. So watch out. Yeah, Lauren understands that one about the uni thing. Right? Yeah, Nyasha, Jody has great fun putting together the Friday evening broadcasts, and we all thank her for it because, it's always fun. She was married 9 times. I knew it was a lot. So that was more than Elizabeth Taylor. I think Elizabeth Taylor was 7. I'm not 100% sure on that. Hang on a second. Alexa, how many times was Elizabeth Taylor married?
Elizabeth Taylor was married 8 times but had 7 husbands.
8
She married Conrad Nicky Hilton first, then Michael Wilding, Michael Todd,
Alexa,
Eddie
stop.
Fisher, Richard Burton,
Alexa,
whom she
stop.
married twice, John Warner,
Alexa,
and finally Larry
stop.
Fertasi.
Thank you. Really. 8 times, okay, of 7 husbands because she married Richard Burton twice, right? So it's like 9 times, wow. And she ended up with the Baron von whatever, Zsa Zsa Gabor, right? And she was still married to him, the last I heard. This one is cute. Life is like a photograph. You need the negatives to develop. How many of you realize that some of the things you thought were really big negatives in your past turned out to be okay? You don't know why you were so worried about them. you know? People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. And that's why we recommend doing it daily. Yeah, I always love the fact that people thank me for motivating them. And I go, I didn't motivate you. Really, I'm not that clever. Right? I flapped my lips and something in what I said motivated something in you that made you want to do it. I'd love to take the credit, but really, I can't. And Stephen Wright, who we quote very often on these broadcasts, I'm writing a book. So far, I've got the page numbers done. I wrote a book like that once, where literally I started with a blank page. And I asked a question. And then I thought, well, now I know I need a page for that answer. So I created that page. And then the next thing I asked another question, and then I had another answer. And I literally wrote a whole book that way. And eventually it all came together because I realized that all the answers were already in the book. And it was just like, wow, that's amazing. Margaret Mead said, always remember that you are absolutely unique, just like everybody else. That is so wise. That really is so wise. I love it. I'm losing my voice, people. Isaac Asimov, a famous writer, said, people who think they know everything are great annoyance to those of us who already do. People who think they know everything are a great annoyance to those of us who really do. Yeah, I totally get that. Probably one of Thomas Edison's famous quotes, most famous quotes, is the one, that opportunity is missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. I'm amazed how many people are not prepared to do the work it takes to learn to do something. How about you guys? You know, you all have watched me grow my indoor garden, most of which is now my outdoor garden, but you know it wasn't easy. You know I had failures. You know every day I had to decide, do I want to carry on nurturing these things? And yet, you know, at the end of it, people say, oh, you're a great gardener. No, I'm not. I'm not a great gardener. I just don't quit very easily. And I like to experiment. You know that. I was saying at lunchtime, if I hadn't done the experiment of the mint, if I hadn't done the experiment about growing mint, I would not have found out that dropping a piece of mint like this into your water bottle gives it an incredibly nice taste, for one. Actually, the first time I tasted it, wasn't sure if I liked it, but now I find it almost impossible to drink water without mint in it. The other thing is, what I couldn't understand was you put anything else into a bottle of water, it starts to ferment. Mint stays fresh and actually starts to grow. So I would not have found that out if I hadn't done the experiment with the indoor gardening. Yeah, isn't that true, Nyasha? Nyasha's saying opportunity takes a lot of patience, and most people don't have it together with a stubborn attitude. Yeah, you need to want to succeed. And to want to succeed, excuse me, means you're prepared to fail many times, you know, as Edison did. So I really recommend it. Get yourself a sprig of mint and let it grow, excuse me, as I have done. Oh, I got the hiccups now. And you have watched these little plants grow. Isn't it amazing? I got a jungle now. And now I'm adding mint to my salads. You know, every day I put mint into something else because that's all I'll ever need, quite honestly, probably for the rest of my life. It'll be interesting to see how long it lasts. So if the only thing I'd learned was this about the mint, it would be a good experiment. Yeah, you actually, I found out that certain things grow better than others. I cannot believe how long lettuce takes to grow. That is scary to me, how long it takes to grow. But, you know, it is the smallest seed and it takes the longest to germinate. It's really strange. Now, if you put a bean into earth, it'll be this high the next day. You know, that's, you know, in 2 or 3 days anyway. That's amazing to me. But, oh, lettuce takes forever. And it, you know, is very fragile. So I'm going to really, if I end up with any lettuce, I'm going to be very grateful. Excuse me. Joan Rivers said, you know that you've reached middle age when you are being cautioned to slow down by your doctor, not by the police. I'm going to have to stop in a minute now. I don't know why I'm losing my voice, but I am. It's a good rule to remember. A good rule to remember for life is that when it comes to plastic surgery and sushi, never be attracted to a bargain. Yeah, a lot of people have lived. I'm going to do the update any minute, Jody. Yeah, so hang on a second. I'm going to do the countdown because I know Jody's going to be calling for that any minute now. Let me do it now while I remember, then I won't be in trouble. Okay, so we do the countdown for everybody. I can get it to work. Oh. Valentine's Day is 9 months and 25 days away. Christmas, just 244 days. Oh, we're getting there fast, people. We will need to mail our overseas cards in 7 months and 10 days. US Thanksgiving is just 7 months and 5 days away. And the Canadian Thanksgiving is only 5 months and 20 days away. If you're in the US, you have got 2 months and 3 weeks to do your taxes. Unfortunately, in Canada, we only have 1 month and 1 week to do ours. Summer or winter is just 56 days away. It's summer for us in the Northern Hemisphere, but for Lauren and those sitting in the Southern Hemisphere, it's only 56 days. So they have winter. So, well, fall. No, it'll be winter. If we're going into summer, they will be going into winter. Yeah. So just think about that. I thought it interesting that I have now lived in my house for 3 months and 2 weeks. 3 months and 2 weeks. So I've lived here for a quarter of a year already. Isn't that amazing? I've only owned it for 2 months, but it does seem amazing that I have now already lived here for 1 season. If you think of it that way, isn't that amazing? Yeah, Lauren is saying that in Tasmania it already feels like winter. Yeah. You know, it's another season. What can I say? Nyasha, I know that you really have 2 seasons, right? Wet season and dry season. So what are you in now? I would imagine the wet season. Would I be right in that? What always amazed me when I was in Africa was that in the summer season, which actually was when the rains came, it was amazing because, you know, you just watch these big clouds come over and there would be this torrential rain for about 10 minutes and then it would stop. And so you'd literally run under cover, but you knew, you 10 minutes later, you'd be back outside drinking your drink and sitting by the pool again. It was just like really weird. But you got used to it, right? You just, you'd feel those first couple of drops and you go, run now. You didn't, there wasn't a lot of time between those first couple of drops and a thunderstorm. Ah, okay, so it's the dry season now. Why did I think it would be the wet season? Yeah. Okay, so when we're going into summer, you are, okay. Have any of you noticed a change in your use of stuff? One of the things I've noticed since I've moved here is I produce far less garbage here than I did at my previous house. And that's even with unpacking. Why is that? It's really strange that, I compost, as you know, I compost directly into the garden now. I blend my compost. Hang on. You know, all my kitchen scraps and my coffee grounds and everything, I just put them in the blender all day, and I just blend them up, and then I will feed this into my garden tomorrow morning. And so that's all the stuff I used to throw out. Now I'm just putting back into the garden every day. And so that's a lot of it. And then if I think about my garbage, I only get to have a garbage collection of garbage every other week. And I'm putting a lot of moving stuff in there. In other words, things like polystyrene and stuff that was used for packing for things. Rather than, I'm amazed how little I'm throwing out. It's quite surprising. And my recycling, I only do that every other week. I can do it every week if I want to, but I just don't seem to be producing a lot of that sort of stuff. So I am definitely lower. I thought I would lower my carbon footprint by moving here, and I definitely appear to have done that. So I wondered if any of you have noticed that you have lowered your carbon footprint by being isolated. Would that be true for any of you? All right. Have you noticed that, you know, your amount of waste has gone down, be that in food or in product? Let me know, because I think it's interesting to see what we will learn. I'm pretty certain that a lot of us are going to be almost sad to get out of lockdown. We will actually find that we enjoy lockdown. Right? Have any of you changed your sleeping routine because of lockdown? You know, that you go to bed later, get up later, or go to bed earlier, get up earlier. So what I want you to do is to see what your natural clock is doing. I think that was one of the things that surprised me when I retired, was my natural clock has me go to bed about 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, Jody's saying, yeah, interesting. Jody is saying we've lowered our carbon footprint a little. We have reduced waste. Absolutely, yeah. And I'm amazed by that, how much I have. Now, the other thing was that, you know, for those of you who decided to store up the storage cupboard for what's going to be coming in terms of inflation and everything, I'm having difficulty not going to the storage cupboard and using some of the things that are in there. And I keep remembering the reason it's there is for when I can't get food. And I keep thinking, oh, I think I'll go get that. I know I've got it in the storage, and I'm going, yeah, but you're not meant to be eating it yet. So there's a lot to be said for having that storage cupboard. I'm just going to have to replenish. I don't know. Is anybody else finding that? So we'll see. Okay. I do actually want to say that my voice is definitely beginning to hurt me, so I am going to stop. But thank you all for being here. And I just don't understand why my voice is fading. Isabel's saying we don't take things for granted anymore. Yeah, there's the huge learning in doing this for us all. No doubt about it. Huge learning. So guys, thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing this time with me. I hope that you've smiled at a couple of things. Jody's saying we've had to replenish, sneaking snacks too often. Yes, because you know where they are. Exactly. All right, so Niesha's saying it's messed me up for sure because now that I'm not going to work, I'm going to bed a lot later than usual. But in the initial stages of staying at home, I've been waking up at the regular time. Okay. So I would say just be aware that you're going to find it quite difficult to go back to a normal routine. And some of you will not want to go back to a normal routine. Good night to you, Sharon. Thank you for being here and big hugs. And I'm glad that you are right occasionally. It must have felt so good. And to all of you, thank you for taking the time to be here and to laugh with us. I am pretty certain my voice will recover pretty soon. I don't know. I'll have to look up what causes that because it was fine for lunchtime and for some reason it definitely is unstable tonight. So I probably took in too much dust or something. I don't know. I'm glad you enjoyed the smile, Sandy. It is my pleasure. Mama Sal, I've been listening on the reply and I wanted to ask, does anyone have a routine? Because I don't think I have any. Yeah, I have a routine every day. You don't have a routine in lockdown? I have my sort of, I have a series of tasks that I do, you know, and I sort of work my way through it during the day. You know, so much in the time I spend time in the garden. I spend time getting clean, you know, shower and do things like that. I have spent time doing stuff to do with laundry. I spend time cleaning up the kitchen. I spend time, you know, taking one step forward with the getting the house tidy, with one step forward, unpacking, one step, you know, I keep taking these steps. Oh, so Nash saying, no, I just wake up and do whatever, whenever. No, I don't have any routine. Well, that's your choice, but I would recommend that you have a routine. You know, because otherwise you're just wasting the day. And I assure you that part of you will regret that at the end of the lockdown. You'll keep saying, I wish I had done this when I had the time to do it. But congratulations on getting out to the garden. I'm really happy that you have been able to make that step. So well done. And, you know, it'll be easier to work with the garden. It'll take you about a year or so to work out how everything goes, but then you'll find it so interesting. And it takes a while to work out what are plants and what are weeds. And sometimes the weeds are very pretty. Nash is saying no, she has no schedule, nothing. Is that normal? It's not about what's normal. It's about why would you choose not to do anything? Why would you choose not to have a schedule? Because you can. I think if you talk to people who are balanced in a different way, I guess, yeah, if you don't have a schedule, you'll only do the things that you want to do. You won't be spending time doing the things that you ought to do rather than just the things that you want to do. So that's why I have a routine. You know, even though I don't like doing it, there's some things that need to be done on a daily basis. Even though I don't like doing it, you know, twice a week I've got to take the car up to charge the battery because otherwise my battery dies. You know, there's certain things that I need to have a routine about, but that's my life. So I'm amazed that you don't have tasks that you do for the house, you know, to help your parents. All right, so Niash is saying another thing I have accomplished during the lockdown is to do a major decluttering of my room. I'm finally getting and making my room the way I like it, and hopefully I'll keep it that way. Yeah, it takes a bit of effort to do that. I've actually had to stop, Niasha, just so you know, I had to stop unpacking because I needed to spend, I think it took me over a week to get my house back tidy again because I was unpacking stuff and not putting it away properly. And I started to have clutter everywhere again. So then I said, no, I'm going to stop unpacking now until I've got rid of the clutter. And I've managed to do that. So I'm a lot happier. All right, I'm definitely going. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much for being here. And thank you for sharing the smiles with me. I would encourage you to remember that in this time of difficulty, coping is our one goal. You know, we doing whatever we can to be able to cope with what is going on around us and to remember that we need to keep learning, even though we're in lockdown. We need to keep smiling, even though we are in lockdown. And we need to remember to relax, even though we're in lockdown. And if we can keep those three things going with our lives, we will end up happy. And that is what we all deserve. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thank you, everybody. Thank you for looking after one another. I will see you all on Sunday. And in the meantime, have fun. Enjoy your life. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, bye for now. You ready?